Welcome, Knights of Edoras. Today we are going over my most recent game of War of the Ring, and this is essentially just going to be to talk about what happened really quickly and what worked well and what didn't. So in this game, me and my friend played as the Shadow, and then my other two friends played as the Free People, played virtually, blah blah blah. Where essentially how it worked is I took pictures of the board and of our cards. The other people controlled what cards they drew, etc. And then you just made decisions and talked and strategized as you wish. So essentially, this game was pretty interesting. Um, it ended with the Free People player conceding due to not feeling like they could win, which was probably pretty accurate at that point. But early on, it was super interesting because Helm's Deep. So turn one, the Free People player took, I believe it was Gandalf and Boromir to Helm's Deep, used Narya to get, or maybe they took him to Edoras, I can't remember exactly where. But they used the ring to get Rohan right to war. I think they might have recruited using a card or something. And then they marched on Orthanc. And the big issue, so it was a very bold move at the beginning, and we hadn't gotten Saruman yet, so there was a good chance that it would succeed. But the problem was, once they made it to Orthanc, their defenses just did not hold, and we had a few cards that could recruit some elite units there. So they were honestly probably never going to win that, but it was just, we drew cards that typically would be really bad early game, and because they attacked early game, we were well suited to defend. So that happened to work out well for us. Also, they didn't focus much on the ring at the beginning, and because of that, we had some really unfortunate rolls at the beginning. We didn't have many musters. So we moved some armies to come to Osgiliath, take that out a little bit. We tried to move these guys towards war, got the Witch King. And then the interesting thing was, once we got to Osgiliath, we kind of just marched through here and then took all of Rohan, but didn't let these guys get to war yet. And we took Rohan pretty easily. And then the army here just unfortunately for them, wasn't able to beat us at Orthanc. So eventually it jumped all the way to Minas Tirith, and we finally got these guys to war. So then we marched up and took Dol Amroth. Sorry if the camera work isn't great. Over here there's a massive army, and then this army just murdered at Dol Amroth as well. Wish we could have taken this little place. Sometimes the dice you get in this just aren't the ones that you want. We got some huge recruiting cards over here, so we would have been able to do some other assault stuff in the future. Our plan was to take these two massive armies, take Dale, because we had corrupted Bran, and then probably go for the Woodland Realm. I don't know. I don't know how well you can see all this stuff. Dale, or what is this? Erebor is so well built up at this point. They have awakened Dane in play, and just tons of elites there, and leadership and all that stuff. So we didn't want to go through the Iron Hills, so we were going to get them both to East Rune, then to the Vale, and then take Dale. Then from there, you can theoretically take the Woodland Realm, or if they come to support the Woodland Realm, obviously you just take this. This army could be utility. We kind of flirted with having this army go to Lorien, but also, obviously, this army can't take anything by themselves. But they could have put Lorien under siege, maybe, been supported by this army, or we could have just ended up circling this large army from Dol Amroth back to Minas Tirith. We didn't really do anything with Orthanc ever. We did have Black Sails in play, so we had considered going all the way from Dol Amroth up to the Grey Havens and taking that eventually. Or we also considered dropping them off at South Eredluin and then going to the Shire and taking that. We also considered using these troops and going up to the Shire and taking that. never really in trouble up here. We had some good recruiting cards that we didn't have to use. But we couldn't get the Balrog to be activated before he lost his die. But he was a great ring deterrent. So yeah, this didn't end up being scary enough, but it made it so that they couldn't ever take this location. We corrupted Theoden, and then they got rid of him with a card that they have, I believe. Then we corrupted Brand. We tried to corrupt Dane. Yeah, I didn't. There were some things that happened at the end of the game that I didn't resolve because of how it ended. They awakened Denethor. They awakened Dane. And then Thranduil we were trying to corrupt, but we didn't quite get there. Now, as far as the ring, I feel like the Shadow played so well this game. Plus, we got really lucky, which always helps because this game definitely requires some luck. So the ring started moving, and then I think the first time that they had to, I think that they were revealed. I don't think that they chose to declare. It was South Ered Luin. And then they got revealed again, trying to go to the Grey Havens, but you can't reveal in a Free People City or Stronghold, so they couldn't reveal in the Grey Havens. They had played the Western Way, which essentially they were going to use to go to sea and then come, I can't remember exactly how it works, but they would have come through Gondor and then made to the Mordor track. We had added both the 1 and the 3 red tiles. So we were pretty well built up. Once this attack failed, we weren't able to go super quickly, which I didn't like. Like, our goal this last round was to be able to take Dale, take Dol Amroth, and I don't know, just be in a good position for next round. But this round, they ended up doing so many ring things that we recruited Ugluk, and then kind of just held our positions. Just did a bunch of stuff to try to get to the ring. So we couldn't quite move them quite yet, but it ended up being a really, really good game. The factions didn't play a huge role. The Dunlendings never did anything, but the Corsairs were actually very helpful. Especially if this game had resolved, the Corsairs would have ended up doing a ton for us. Yeah, but it was a really good game. It was so interesting. This game is just so complex, and everybody learned a ton of stuff. So even I learned a ton. The final score was 0-6. We had 6 corruption. They were revealed at 0. Obviously. So yeah, it was a really good game, and I think I'm going to be playing a few of these games virtually, and I think I'm going to give summaries when we're done. I guess we'll go with the best card that we played was probably, well, it actually didn't end up being too effective, but we played a character, oh no, this would be the best card that we played. Worn with Sorrow and Toil, which essentially every time that a companion is taken as a casualty, you can discard a Free People player card from their hand or from the table. There was never one on the table that we could have done, but we certainly could have gone from their hand. They just didn't take a bunch of casualties because of that, because that is a massively painful thing to have happen. So we didn't want to play it the first round or two because we didn't want them to just be able to declare in Rivendell again. But once they had moved enough that they wouldn't just declare back here, we thought it was safe to go ahead and move forward and play it. So that was probably the best card we played. The best one that they played, I would say it's not even really a card, but probably the best thing that they did was get Denethor. Denethor was pretty huge here, and it let them draw a bunch of cards, plus they got their ruler die, so I think that play was probably the best. But also they got Galadriel here, which essentially just meant once they had Galadriel, we were just never going to take Lorien. So they had some very solid defensive moves. The offensive move was risky, but if it had worked, it would have been really great. So, yeah, guess that's what I got. Thank you for watching, everybody.